And joining us now on the line is Bret Baier, the anchor of Special Report on your Fox News channel. Good morning to you, Bret.
Good morning.
We always like when Bret comes. It means, hey, it's Friday. It's our last interview.
I bring joy.
That's right. You do. You bring joy. Okay, so there's a lot of things I want to talk to you about, but I want to start with this this Q poll that came out the other day. 51% unfavorability for Hillary Clinton. 61% of people say she is not honest or trustworthy. And the word Quinnipiac says that most describes Hillary in the minds of the voters they surveyed is liar. If I'm Hillary Clinton and I'm going to this big Democratic strategy session today in Minneapolis, I think I would realize I'm in trouble. Do you think she does?
I think the campaign realizes they are sputtering along and in a tough spot. I think that's one of the reasons you saw her yesterday compare Republican candidates to some terrorist groups. I think that is a move to get attention, and to get attention, ideally, in her mind, away from some of these stories. I mean, they keep on coming out, and you have this story in the Washington Post about Uma Abedin and the 4 hats she was wearing while she was an assistant, an aide to Secretary of State Clinton, organizing dinners, kind of coordinating Clinton Foundation things. You have this story about from ABC about these emails showing that Bill Clinton and the Clinton Foundation asked for him to speak to groups in North Korea and the Congo while she's Secretary of State. Those things were turned down, but it goes to show you how much he was trying to press the speeches around the world while she was in office. And I just don't think that there has been a good news cycle for her for a while. So that's one of the reasons I think you saw that effort.
In other words, say something that is sort of out there,
so
just like Donald Trump does.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So then she becomes the news, and it kind of leads the talk about Hillary Clinton as opposed to another day of email focus.
But, Bret, meanwhile, over on the Republican side, it seems like they're still sort of sniping at each other instead of focusing on Hillary Clinton. And when I say each other, I mean at Donald Trump. Is it really sort of the strategy right now from the Republicans to get any kind of attention they need to comment on or react to Donald Trump? And if that's the case, what's the end game there? Well,
I don't know. I think that you're right, that I think the equation has been to get on the news, to get coverage, you have to say something with a capital T and ends with a P. And I think that then you get in the cycle. And you know, some of these candidates have chosen different ways. I think Ted Cruz is kind of like a NASCAR driver drafting on Donald Trump, you know, behind the car and waiting for him to hit the wall, and then taking over where he leaves off. I think other candidates are trying to challenge him head on, Jeb Bush namely, but the Bush campaign has its own issues. I mean, the fact that he announces a endorsement by Eric Cantor in Virginia is really questionable. I mean, here's the House Majority Leader, as you guys know, who lost to a relative political newcomer, and he's not exactly the grassroots feeling you want to send out there. The only reason I could think that you do that is that you're losing establishment connections and money to John Kasich and Marco Rubio.
Yeah, we spoke about that at length about an hour ago, and in fact, played your comments as well as Dr. Krauthammer's comments on the panel last night. It really was an inexplicable move, not just to accept the endorsement and brag about it, but then to name Eric Cantor as your co-chair in Virginia. It seems politically tone deaf, and it's not like the Bush family doesn't know politics.
Right. So I think that both of those moves yesterday, the Hillary Clinton talking about Republicans and terrorists and Bush campaign touting Eric Cantor's endorsement of Virginia, are both campaigns that are having a bumpy ride.
All right, so the email story just doesn't want to go away. We want to come back to that for just a moment. What are the new developments? What things do you look for? I mean, it seems like Catherine Herridge this week did some extremely good reporting that sort of nailed it to the wall as far as I'm concerned. We know the intelligence that was on her server came from 4 intelligence agencies, and the intelligence agencies have now confirmed that fact. To me, that was sort of like, wow. How can she now say that there was no classified information on her server?
Well, remember, Brian, that answer has evolved.
It sure has.
It is. I did not send or receive any emails that were marked classified. That's not what she said at the beginning. So, and to be honest, I mean, many experts say it really doesn't matter whether it was marked or not, where it was generated from. This investigation will continue. It was classified.
That's what Catherine, one of the things she reported is that the originating agency owns the intelligence and sets the classification. And before it can be declassified and sent out anywhere else, you have to go back to that agency and get them to declassify it, and that never happened.
And the Clinton campaign has tried to make the case that this is all about how sensitive and how the process is for classification in the U.S. government and how screwed up it is. That's not what this story is about. And I think there are just real problems here, and I think you're starting to see the thing turn, and that you may start seeing more emails that connect her time as Secretary of State with her work in the Clinton Foundation, and that's really where it gets sticky.
Bret, before we leave you, the media was a big part of the discussion this week. Specifically, I think the biggest aspect of the media involvement in the presidential campaign was Jorge Ramos's behavior at that press conference with Donald Trump. I didn't hear your comments on this week, if you did make comment, but it appeared to me, at least, that Jorge Ramos actually made Donald Trump look good, given his behavior as kind of an activist there at the press conference. What's your take?
Yeah, listen, different reporters have different styles. I mean, Sam Donaldson stood up in many a Reagan press briefing and barked out questions. Clearly, that's not, the normal you get called on style. Donald Trump, with the sit down, go back to Univision, played to his base, but again, did not probably play to others. And I think Trump thrives on these moments, and when it is about the media attacking him, or it's about something that deals with not really going into the depths of the policy, but to talk about some issue that he's been threatened with as far as a public display, he comes out on top, and he has figured out how the equation there.
Well,
and I think he did this time.
The fact that Ramos the day before characterized Donald Trump as spreading hate and violence with his rhetoric, doesn't that sort of suggest that it was a premeditated move by Jorge Ramos, and he was no longer a reporter in that room at that point? Well,
that's right. And but now moving forward, they're in talks to have some interview. I mean, it's the theater in which this has become a show, a road show that gets a lot of attraction, a lot of attention, and it's interesting. I don't know where it's going to go. I don't know at what point the American people are going to go, you know what, I've seen and heard my umpteenth Trump press conference, and I'm not ready to tune in anymore. I'm not sure.
We're all hanging on for the ride, though, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
That's all we can do. Hey, great having you as always.
Have a great weekend.
Are the Bear kids back in school now?
Not yet. Not until after Labor Day. My wife is counting the days.
All right, enjoy it. Oh, wait a minute, counting the days?
Yeah.
You mean?
So she can get her days back.
Yeah.
All right, Bret. Thanks for that.
Thanks, Bret.